Hi, good morning everybody. Welcome to today's Saturday's live stick mobility class. I am Coach Ray. So as you can see, we're here in my home today. And so for today, we're only going to need a singular long stick for the entire class. And so what we're going to do today is we're actually going to go through a full body warm up, okay? Work from the feet all the way up to the spine, okay? And then from there, we're going to actually shift into the strength training. We are going to do an overhead press and a bench press variation along with some core drills as well. And so for today's class, you're going to want to try to make sure we stay out of pain. So if anything's painful, please reduce the range of motion or reduce the amount of tension that you're generating, okay? And also for the cool down, right? We're going to be going into some hip stretches, working on a little bit of flow and different things to kind of loosen everything up here, okay? So we're going to get started in a second here. Okay, I just want to make sure we get give some people time to join in for the class here. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to start with the feet and ankles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a horse stance. Okay. And so what I'm going to do, I'm actually go from a little bit of a side profile here so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. And so I want to go with a stance roughly about a little wider than shoulder width here. Okay. And I want to pick up this, so I want to have the stick directly in front. I want to pick up the bottom of the stick, angle it in just a little bit here, and I'm going to place it down on the floor. Now what I want to do, I want to keep my pelvis stacked under my spine. I don't want my hips back. And so what I'm going to do from here, I'm only using a stick has a point of balance. So I'm going to bring up both heels. I want to be on all 5 toes and the balls on my feet. The positioning or level of my hips do not change, okay? I'm going to slowly go back down under control. Good. Do not let your heels touch the floor. Going to bring your heels right back up again. Good. Hold. We're going to bring the heels back down slow. Remember, do not let your heels touch the floor. Back up. Hold. Good. Make sure you breathe. Back down. Let's go 2 more here. Up. Hold. Good. Back down slow. 1 last time. Both heels up. Hold. Good. Back down slow. And relax. Good. And so now we're going to get into some lateral shifts from the ankles. And so for this, I'm actually going to have you do one foot at a time here, okay? And so what I want to do, I want to get back into that horse stance again. Let's go ahead and switch how we stacked our hands, okay? And so I'm going to bring my stance in just a little bit closer so I have a little bit more stability. And so what I'm going to do from here, shoulders are down. I'm going to bring both heels up, okay? I'm going to start on the left ankle. So I'm going to shift my left ankle out, okay? So I'm going to be on the pinky toe of that left ankle, and then I'm going to shift my left ankle inwards, so now I'm on my big toe, okay? I'm going to shift out. So we're trying to get those lateral tissues in the ankle warmed up here. I'm going to shift the ankle in. Good. You should be on a big toe here. Shift out. Good. Shift in. And remember, try to keep your body as still as you possibly can. Shift out. Good. Shift in. Good. Back to center. Now we're going to shift or switch to the right ankle. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to shift my ankle outwards. Good. Then in. Really try to build up those lateral tissues. Get some tension in there. Shift out. Good. In. Excellent. Let's go a couple more here. Out. In. Let's go one more time. Out. And in. Back to center. And down. Excellent. Good. Okay. So we're going to just kind of leave it at that for the ankles for today. But what we are going to do is we're going to start to work on the pelvis. Okay, so we're going to start getting the hips to move in different planes. And so what I'm gonna do from here, we're gonna face forward, face the camera. And what I wanna do, I wanna have the stick in that same position as we had it for our ankle drills. We're gonna get back into that horse stance a little bit wider than shoulder width, toes are pointed forward. And I'm gonna switch my hands again, right? And I wanna keep my hands stacked at about roughly chest to sternum height. What I'm gonna do from here is I'm gonna lightly push the stick into the ground and I'm going to tuck my pelvis in, do what's called a posterior tilt. You should feel like your glutes are activating here, okay? And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do an anterior tilt, so I'm gonna tuck my pelvis the opposite way and give off some of that tension on the stick here. Okay, you should feel like those lower back muscles or those tissues on the erector is activating here. Now I'm gonna tuck back in, lightly drive the stick into the ground, about 20% tension. Good. Now I'm gonna tuck my pelvis the opposite way, doing anterior tilt, release some of that tension off the stick. Still give it a little bit, but not too much. Now I'm gonna tuck back in, posterior tilt, drive the stick into the ground, getting all those anterior tissues active. Now we're gonna go the anterior tilt, releasing some of that tension. Okay, let's go one more time each way. Posterior tilt, drive the stick into the ground. Good. Now we're gonna do an anterior tilt, release off some of that tension. And relax, go to ease off, back to center. Now we're I'm gonna work with some lateral tilts. We're gonna make something a little bit different here. I'm gonna actually move the stick onto the left side of my body. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get some lateral tension on that singular side here. So the bottom of the stick is going to be right in front of my toes here, okay? And I wanna have my hand roughly about shoulder height, okay? I'm gonna get back into that horse stance. And what I wanna do from here, I wanna drive the stick into the ground about roughly 20% tension. And then I'm gonna tilt my pelvis up to the left. I'm gonna bump my pelvis up laterally, okay? And then I'm gonna bring it back down to center. Excellent. I'm gonna bump it back up again. You feel that left glute activating, feel those lateral tissues activate here. I'm gonna bring it back down to center. And the stick is at about 10 o'clock. So we're gonna bump the hips out to the left again. Almost like there's a string pulling up that left hip. Back down to center. Let's go a few more. Bump the hip up to the left. Good. Back to center. Two more. Bump the hip up to the left. Good. Back to center. One last time. Bump the hip to the left. And back to center. Ease off. Now we're going to switch sides. So it's going to be a little bit different because now what we're doing is we're getting that entire lateral side active, right? And so what you should feel the obliques, the lats, all those tissues activate as we're going into that tilt here. And so what we're going to do, the stick is going to be at about 2 o'clock. Hand is at roughly shoulder height, arm is straight. Get into that horse stance, pelvis stacked under the spine. Drive the stick into the ground, about 15 to 20% tension. And then I'm going to bump the hips to the right. Back to center. Good. Bump the hips to the right. Feel that right glute activate. Back to center. Good. Hips to the right. Back to center. Good. Bump the hips to the right again. You should feel like your left hip is dropping down, right? So it's the reciprocation of the pelvis tilting upwards. We're going to go back to center. Bump the hips to the right again. Good. One last time. Back to center. Bump the hips to the right. And back to center. And good. Go ahead and ease off. So what we're doing there is, again, we're trying to gain that control of the pelvis and learn how to manipulate it in different ways, but also getting different lines of tissue active as well. And so what I'm going to do from here, I'm going to place the stick behind my mid-back, okay? And I'm actually going to have my arms stretched out as far as I can reach, right? And so I'm grabbing out pretty wide. I'm going to get back into that horse stance here. we're going to work on some rotations. We're going to slowly start to work pivoting in or adding in movements as we go along here, okay? And so what I want to do from here, arms are straight out. And what I want to do is I want to lightly pull the stick apart, like I'm trying to lengthen the stick here, okay? This just gets that upper back activation, okay? I want to keep the rib cage down to the hips, still in that horse stance. And what I'm going to do is we're going to start to rotate the spine, but I'm going to move my right hand forward, and I'm keeping my hips facing forward here. Now I'm going to rotate to the right, driving my left hand forward. Good. Now I'm going to rotate to the left, drop that right hand forward, pull across the body, rotate to the right, drive that left hand forward here. Just feel that spine working, get in on some of that rotation. Rotate to the left, drive that right hand forward. Now rotate to the right, drive that left hand forward. Excellent. So now we're going to rotate back to the left, but we're going to start to rotate the hips along with it. So I'm going to rotate to the left, drive that right hand forward. Now my hips are rotating, so I should get further rotation here. Okay? Now I'm going to rotate to the right, driving that left hand forward. Hips are rotating along with my spine. So you're going to get a challenge on that internal rotation on that right hip here. Okay? Rotate to the left. Drive that right hand forward. Good. Rotate to the right. Drive that left hand forward. One more each way. Rotate to the left. Drive that right hand forward. You should feel like your spine is loosening up a little bit here. Okay. Rotate to the right. Drive that left hand forward. Now we're going to start to pivot the back foot. So as I rotate to the left here, driving that right hand forward, I'm going to pivot my right foot. Should get even more rotation. Okay? So we're also working on the hips at the same time. Now I'm going to rotate to the right, drop that right heel back down, pivot my left foot inwards. Good. Rotate to the left. You're still pulling that stick apart. I'm going to pivot my right foot. Make sure you breathe. Rotate to the right. Drive that left hand forward. Pivot that left foot. Bring it back to center. And relax. Awesome. Okay, so it's kind of worked on getting the hips, everything warmed up there. So now we're actually just going to warm up the shoulders here. Okay, and so what we're going to do is if you have a pillow or a pad, something for you to kneel on, let's actually go down into a full kneeling position like so. Okay, so we're going to do some kayaking. One of the reasons I'm actually doing this, I don't want to hit my fan. So what we're going to do from here, I'm going to grip this, I'm going to have the stick out in front. Okay, I'm going to grip out as wide as I can. If you need to, move your hands in a little bit more. If you need a little bit of extra room to work with on your shoulders here, okay? And so I'm going to have my left hand up. I want to make sure my glutes are tight and squeezed here, okay? And I want to drive that left hand forward and through, feel the scapula gliding along the rib cage. Now the right hand comes up over and drives through as that left shoulder blade comes around that rib cage here. So we're trying to get full 360 degree movement of the shoulder blades as we go through here. Okay? Make sure you breathe. Keep your pace in line with mine. Okay? Shouldn't be going any faster than I am. Want to keep that pace even, right? Want to keep it slow. We're trying to go for control here. Good. Right hand up and over. Drive that left hand back and through. Good. Now we're going to add in a little bit of rotation. So now I'm going to rotate to my left a bit as I'm driving my left shoulder back and up. Rotate to the right, drive the right shoulder back and up. Good. Rotate to the left. Good. Rotate to the right. Rotate to the left. To the right. And relax. Okay, good, excellent. So, now we kind of work through all the warm-ups. Now we're gonna get into the strength training phase. So for this, the thing is that I wanna make sure that you're able to generate tension in different positions. So we are gonna start with an overhead position. If you're unable to comfortably be in a position where you're in an overhead press, reduce that range of motion. If going in here is a little bit too narrow, widen your hand out a little bit, right? That might take some of that stress off the shoulder here. And so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get into like a horse stance, okay? Again, we're trying to make sure we keep that stability in the lower body and the torso here. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna grip the stick at the same width I would for an overhead press. So for me, I'm going a little bit wider than shoulder width here, okay? And so what I wanna do from here, get into that horse stance, I wanna squeeze my glutes, tighten my rib cage here, the stick is in front of me, okay? And so what I'm gonna do, I'm going to try to compress the stick. So I'm gonna try to shorten that stick. So I wanna compress that stick with about 40% tension, okay? Now the arm's gonna be moving, is gonna be my outside arm, so it's gonna be my left arm here, okay? So I wanna compress that stick about 40 to 50% tension. I wanna keep that hold. What I'm gonna do from here, I'm gonna start to press that left hand up overhead, keeping that tension the entire time. Still driving this left hand into the right hand, hold. Good, in 3, 2, 1, back down. And ease off, good. So this is mimicking a single arm overhead press. We're just trying to work on those anterior tissues of the shoulder here, right? So to get back down in position, squeeze the glutes, rib cage down. I want to compress that stick. Let's go 60% this time. Okay, keep those elbows down, tucked in tight. And now I'm going to press that left hand up overhead again. Should be at 60% effort. Hold. Try to lock that arm out if you can. Breathe. 3, 2, 1. Bring it back down. And ease off. Good. Okay, we're gonna go one more time. Let's go up to 75% here. So if you're having issues getting that arm to lock out overhead, again, you can widen your grip out so it comes out a little bit more, or just come up as far as you can, right? We're trying to keep that tension there. Get back into that horse stance, glutes tight, rib cage down, drop. So I wanna compress that stick, 75% tension, okay? Hold. Now I'm gonna press that left arm up overhead. Try to lock that elbow if you can. Still trying to compress the stick. Hold. And 3, 2, 1. Back down. And ease off. Good. Okay, so now we're going to switch sides. So the good thing about this here, this is a really good way to work on getting comfortable being in that overhead position, right? So my hands are going to be at the same width, okay? A little bit wider than shoulder width, okay? So now I'm going to be here, back in that horse stance, okay? I want to compress that stick first. Good, 50%. I want to press that right hand up overhead. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Bring it back down. And ease off. Good. Okay, we got 2 more here. We're going to be at 60% on this next one. Okay? Get set in position. Squeeze the glutes, rib cage down, core engaged. Compress that stick. Feel those anterior tissues turn on here. Okay? Press that right arm up overhead. Hold. In 3, 2, 1. Back down. And relax. Awesome. Okay, now we're we're gonna go 75%. This is the last one here for this drill, okay? Get set in position, glutes tight, core engaged, compress that stick, 75%. Now press that right arm up overhead. Hold. And 3, 2, 1, and relax. Back down, ease off, and good. Okay, so that was some overhead movement here, okay? Trying to strengthen those shoulders a bit. So now we're gonna go down into a half kneeling position, and we're gonna do effectively a chest press. And so what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to have my outside leg forward, okay? Now for this, we're gonna have to really try to work on that stability and drive that stability here. So that back ankle, the back ankle that I'm on is actually dorsiflex. I'm gonna have my big toe driving into the ground here. Now I'm gonna have the stick angled downwards, diagonally, okay? And what I wanna do, I wanna get a little bit closer in here, okay? And so, what I'm gonna do from here, I wanna try to be as upright as I possibly can. The reason why the stick is angled down is because I'm trying to create that downward force here. I typically tend to notice that sometimes people get a lot more chest activation here, okay? And so what I'm gonna do from here, half kneeling position, I wanna squeeze this right glute, okay? And I'm gonna drive my left hand into the wall, okay? And I'm gonna drive with about 50% tension. You should be feeling that pec activate a little bit here. Now I'm gonna extend that left hand straight out. So driving the stick into the wall, I wanna get to that full extended position, still going 50%. You wanna hold, make sure that right glute is tight, okay? Three, 2, 1. I'm gonna bring that left hand back in, still compress, so pushing the stick into the wall and ease off, okay? So we're gonna go a few more reps here. We're gonna dial it up 10% every time, okay? So from here, right glute is tight. I wanna compress the stick into the wall, 60%. I'm gonna extend that left hand out. Again, driving into the corner of the wall here. Hold. Good, breathe. 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna bring that hand back in and ease off, okay? Let's go 2 more, let's go 70% this time, okay? Hand up, drive the stick into the wall, 70%. Extend that left hand out, hold. Should be feeling some of that pec activation here, okay? 3, 2, 1, back in, ease off. Excellent, let's go one more time, 80%, we're only gonna go for a few seconds here, okay? So drive the stick into the wall, 80%. Extend that hand out. Hold, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it back in and ease off. Now we're gonna turn around and do the same thing, okay? So I got my outside leg forward here, so my inside leg is back, ankle dorsiflex, so my big toe is driving into the ground. Also, the bottom of the stick, or the stick that's into the corner of the wall, that's effectively in line with my hips here, okay? So it's not in front or angled out in front, it's actually angled right where my hips are, okay? So I'm gonna grab into the stick with my right hand, okay? Drive the stick into the wall, 50%, and then I'm gonna extend that hand out, hold, in 3, 2, 1, and back in, and down, ease off, good. Okay, we're gonna go 60% this time, okay? So drive the stick into the corner of the wall here, extend that right hand out, try to lock that elbow, hold. Good. 3, 2, 1, back in, and down. Excellent. Okay, we got 2 more here. We're going to be at 70% tension. Okay. Drive the stick into the wall, 70% tension. Make sure you're staying up tall here. Okay. Squeeze that left glute. Drive that right hand out. Fully extend. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Bring it back in and ease off. Awesome. Okay. So now what we're going to do here, one last repetition. Okay. Drive the stick into the wall. 80%. Extend that hand out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back in and ease off. Excellent. Okay. So we are going to stay in a full kneeling position here. Now we're going to do something like a plank, right? And I'm going to use the stick as a way to kind of drive into that activation here. Okay. So I'm going to make sure the stick is in front, like directly in front of me. Okay. Now I'm far enough from the wall where I can effectively rest this angle, this end of the stick on my body, on my torso here. Okay. This is going to be a good position for some people to start with, just because that means the stick is already relatively close to their body. Okay. So the further you lean forward, the more core activation and demand you place on the core here, right? And so what I want to do from here, I want to grab the stick with both hands. Okay, and then I'm going to extend both hands straight up, and I want to stay in this half kneeling position. Both of my feet are flat, so I'm extending the ankles here. Arms are going to be straight. I want to drop my rib cage down to my hips, squeeze my glutes, and then I'm going to drive the stick into the wall with about 50 to 60% tension here. You're just going to hold this position, just so you know what that activation feels like. Okay? Hold. And 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Good. So now we're going to actually move forward, or effectively get the stick closer to the wall to make it more of a challenge. Okay? So we're actually going to go for about a 6 to 8 second hold here. Okay? If you can, don't move too far forward if you can't handle the amount of tension, if it's too much, okay? Arms straight, squeeze the glutes, rib cage down, drive the stick into the wall, 56% tension. I'm just going to lean forward just a little bit, hold. And 3, 2, 1. I'm going to push myself back up into upright position and ease off. Okay, so this is like a plank, right? We're furthering that lever system as we move forward. Okay, so do that same thing again. If you can, maybe try to move a little bit closer, right? Try to drive the stick closer to the wall. Arms are straight, glutes tight, rib cage down, drive the stick into the wall. Wait for a little bit more. Your entire body is moving as a singular unit. And 3, 2, 1. Gonna come back up and ease off. Okay? We're gonna go one last time. If you want a little bit more of a challenge, move your hands down just a little bit closer towards the wall here. Okay? You'll be able to get a little bit further. Arms straight. Okay, glutes tight, rib cage down. Drive that stick into the wall. I'm gonna drive my body forward. I want to hold, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to push myself back up. And good. Hey, awesome. Right. So that concludes the strength training phase. Right. So we kind of worked through some upper body drills, one core drill. So that last drill there is it can be a little tricky sometimes, but you can really manage how challenging it is based on where your hands are, based on how far you're pushing that stick forward. So always try to make sure you're managing that. If you're starting to get some of that lower back activation, that just means you're going too far outside of the range that your core can control, okay? And so now what we're gonna do here, we're gonna get into some deep fascial stretching, okay? Since we did some upper body stuff, some upper body movements today, we're gonna actually work on loosening up those arm lines and some of those interior tissues here, okay? And so what I wanna do is I wanna get into a pretty, relatively wide stance, whatever's most comfortable for you. Okay, we're gonna get into some ninja flow here. And what I wanna do is I wanna place that right end, bottom of the stick. I wanna place that on the inside of my, the ball of my right foot here, okay? Now, with my right hand, I'm gonna place, I typically like to go above my forehead here, okay? And so what I wanna do from here, stick's gonna be straight out. I wanna drive the stick into the ground lightly. You're gonna feel a little bit of lat activation here. And I wanna drive my hips back, and I'm going to hinge and reach for the floor. The stick is coming towards my body here. It's not coming up, right? It's not coming in front. It's coming across my body, okay? Or towards my body, towards my torso. Now what I'm gonna do from here, I'm gonna reach across, grab the stick with my left hand, thumb facing down towards the floor. Now I'm gonna pull apart to get some tension in that upper back here. And then I'm gonna lunge to my left, driving my hips back. And I'm gonna hold. 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna come up and out of it. Let go with that left hand. And I'm gonna come up. Excellent. Let's go one more here. Okay. I'm gonna drive, so I'm gonna activate, drive the stick into the ground, 20% tension, nothing too significant, right? Just trying to get a little bit of activation here. I'm gonna hinge back, okay? Bring the stick back, so more so, almost like you're going towards the rib cage here. Okay, reach down with that left hand. Good, reach across with the left, thumb facing down towards the floor. Pull apart, get that upper back activation. Now lunge to your left. Hold. And 3, 2, 1, back up. Take that left hand off the stick and back up. Awesome, let's go ahead and switch sides here, okay? So it's gonna be the same setup. Stick is on the inside of the left foot, okay, right by the ball of the foot here. Hand is up about forehead height, okay? I'm gonna drive that stick down, 20% tension, okay? And I'm gonna hinge back, reaching down with my right hand, okay? Stick comes towards the rib cage, of the left rib cage, okay? Hold. Get a real good stretch in that arm line, that pec, okay? Reach across with the right hand, thumb facing down towards the floor. Pull that stick apart, and then lunge to your right. Make sure you're driving those hips back. And 3, 2, 1, back up. Let go with the right hand, and come out of it. Excellent, good. Okay, we got one more time here, okay? So, activate, drive that stick into the floor, okay? Drive those hips back, get a good hinge, reach down with that right hand, okay? Good, reach across with the right, thumb facing down toward the floor, pull the stick apart, now lunge to your right, driving those hips back, hold. 3, 2, 1. Back up. Let go with the right hand. And come up and out. Awesome. So we're going to wiggle the feet back in slowly. Okay? And so now what I'm going to work on some rotation here, okay? I'm going to go down to a half kneeling position. I'm going to start with my left leg forward here, okay? So we're actually going to simultaneously work on this right hip flexor, get that anterior sling system to stretch and get some rotation in, okay? And so what I want to do from here, I'm going to place the bottom of the stick into the bottom corner of the wall here, okay? Something stable for me to press against. And what I'm going to do here is I want to make sure the bottom of the stick is basically right in front of my left leg here, okay, my left hip. And I want to have my right hip facing forward, okay? What I'm going to do from here, I'm going to grab the end of the stick with my right hand, okay? And I'm going to bring it over to my right side, okay? So from here, I'm going to press my hand out overhead. What I want to do, I want to go through a series of activation. I'm going to drive my back foot into the floor, squeeze that right glute. You should be feeling the hip flexors open up a little bit here. Okay? Good. And so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to bring the stick across my body, keeping my right hip facing forward, and I'm going to rotate the spine. This is going to get a whole lot of rotation here. I'm driving the stick into the corner of the wall, about 15% tension. And you have to make sure that right glute is tight, because I want to keep my hips locked forward. I want to keep my hips facing the wall the entire time. In 3, 2, 1, I'm going to bring this right hand back up, and I'm going to ease off that tension and relax, okay? If you need to adjust back further because maybe going here is a little bit too much, then move yourself away from the stick a little bit more here, okay? So we're going to do that same thing again, same series of activation. Drive that back foot into the floor, squeeze that right glute, lock those hips into extension here. Right arm is straight up, okay? Drive the stick into the wall, 15% tension, nothing too crazy. Now I'm going to bring that right arm across the body, get some rotation in that mid-back and T-spine here, okay? Trying to make sure we lock that lumbar into place. Hold. Make sure you breathe. In 3, 2, 1, I'm going to bring this right hand back up, rotating back forward, and I'm going to relax and ease off here. We're going to switch sides, okay? So this is a pretty intense drill, especially with the rotational aspect, so this is something to be very careful on, okay? If you're having any pain here, again, that lower back starting to get a little tight, we're starting to get too much movement, right? Move yourself back so you're not getting as much rotation, but you're able to control it more, okay? So be back in that same position, right? Stick is in my left hand, grabbing the end of the stick here, okay? Want to drive that back foot into the floor, squeeze that left glute, feel those left anterior tissues in the hip open up. I'm going to press my left hand out overhead, drive the stick into the wall, and then I'm going to rotate that left hand across, reaching back with that right hand. Hold. Breathe. In 3, 2, 1, I'm going to bring that left hand back up, rotate forward, and ease off tension, okay? Now you're not generating a whole bunch of tension also on that side that's activating, right? You're just trying to get a little bit of tension on the foot and the glute just to make sure we lock this hip forward. So it's going to be up to you how much tension you generate. So I'm going to drive that back foot into the floor, squeeze that left glute, left hand's extended up overhead, okay? Now I'm going to rotate my left hand over across my body, reaching back with my right hand. Okay, try to stay up as tall as you possibly can. Good. Hold. Good. And 3, 2, 1. Going to bring that left hand back up and over. And relax. Awesome. Okay. So now we're going to go to a standing position here. Okay. Okay, so now what we're going to work on some bow and arrow. Okay, I always like to finish off with this. I'm sure You guys have been to some of my classes before. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to be in a roughly hip width stance. My toes are facing forward. We are going to go through some different variations of the bow and arrow. And so I'm going to start with the stick on my left side. My hand is right about where the sticker is, okay? And the bottom of the stick is roughly about a foot away from my midfoot here, okay? What I'm going to do from here, I'm going to take my right hand, I'm going to reach up over the top, grab the top of the stick with my thumb facing down toward the floor. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to drive my hips away from the stick, get that activation, right? Start to create that stretch on that right lateral line. And then I'm going to extend both hands out. Hold, make sure you breathe, and ease off. Good, relax. So let's go ahead and move the bottom of the stick in a couple inches closer to our foot here. This is going to increase that amount of tension and stretch that we're getting on that right lateral line here. Left hand is into where the sticker is, okay? It's typically a good marker for me, or right about where your hips are. Right hand is up and over, grab with the thumb facing down towards the floor, drive the hips away first, and then extend those hands out. And you can also have your inside leg bent if needed. It doesn't need to be straight. In 3, 2, 1, back up, ease off, and relax. Rotate the stick a little bit here. Try to move the bottom of the stick in a couple more inches if possible. Okay, if you can't, that's totally fine. Hands where the sticker is, right hand is up, thumb facing down towards the floor. Okay, drive the hips away from the stick, extend those hands out. We're gonna hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ease off. Now we're gonna switch sides. Okay, so we're gonna go through those same steps. Okay. Right hand is where the sticker is. I'm going to take my left hand, reach up over the top, grab with the thumb facing down towards the floor, drive my hips away and extend my hands out. Hold. Make sure you're breathing. 3, 2, 1, back in. Good. Rotate the stick a little bit, right? Turn it. Bring it to the bottom in a couple inches, okay? Do the same thing again. Right, left hand is up over the top, thumb facing down towards the floor, okay? Drive the hips away first, and then extend those hands out. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Bring it back in, ease off. Rotate the stick a little bit and bring the bottom of the stick in, right, if you can. Right? If it's too painful, it's too much of a stretch, don't be afraid to move that stick out further away from your midline. It'll reduce the significance of the stretch here, okay, the intensity of it. So same thing, right hand is where the sticker is. I want to drive my hips away first. Good, I'm going to extend both hands out. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back in, ease off, and good. Okay, we're gonna do one last variation here. I'm gonna take a wider stance, wider than shoulder width here. Tools are gonna be forward. I'm gonna have the bottom of the stick on the inside of the ball of my right foot here, okay? I'm gonna have my hand roughly about face level, okay? What I'm gonna do from here is I'm going to hinge back, okay? I'm gonna drop down, so I'm gonna stretch in that right part of my pec, right, the arm line. And what I'm gonna do from here, I'm gonna grab with my left hand, place it on the stick, and then I'm going to extend that left hand out, and I'm gonna hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it back in. Let's go and extend it out one last time here. Extend that left hand out. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring that left hand back in. Let go of the stick. And let's go ahead and stand back up, okay? Let's go to the other side. So this one actively enforces some of that rotation, right? Because we're reaching across with the opposite hand and we're driving that force into the stick, so it allows us to get some more thoracic rotation here. So I'm going to grab the stick right about face height, okay? I'm going to hinge, okay? Left arm or the stick is coming towards the rib cage, right? You don't want to be with this, have the stick over the shoulder or in line with your forehead here, right? I want to be in line with your rib cage. Reach across, grab with that right hand, okay? I'm going to extend that right hand out. Drive. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to bring it back in. Keep the right hand on the stick. And I want to extend that right hand out again. Last time. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back in. Let go with that right hand. And stand back up. Awesome. And that concludes today's live stick mobility class. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I hope you guys had a good class. I actually have a lot of fun doing these classes, but be sure to check out our YouTube and check out some of the more content. We have a lot of classes up on there, and I hope you guys have a wonderful Saturday. Have a good day.